Welcome back, I'm Steven Nitz. This is our third class in a 10-part series of Premiere Pro Basics. Class number 1, we talked about getting media from point A to point B. Class number 2, we kind of talked about how getting the footage from Premiere into a timeline. And now here, class number 3, we're going to take a bit deeper dive into the timeline itself, into the sequence itself, things that you can do, and what some of these tools are and how to go about using them. Okay, let's dive in. So here's exactly where we left off, right? This shot here of me kind of opening up a cabinet, looking for coffee. We learned that we can bring it into the timeline 3 different ways. We can drag and drop from the source monitor itself to bring both the video and audio files. We can drag from this film clip to bring in just the video, or we can drag from this waveform to bring in just the audio. Let's go ahead and take a look at these tools. So this first one here, the selection tool, self-explanatory. If you click on it, it selects it. Okay, moving on down, track select forward tool. This is one of my favorite tools. You're working on an edit and you need to kind of get in between a couple of shots to do a little bit more work. Maybe you're working on a sound effect, maybe you need a few more frames on the tail end of a shot to kind of help you transition into the next shot. You can select that tool and then you'll notice you have 2 arrowheads that are pointing to the right. Basically, anything to the right of that is going to be selected when I click. So you'll notice both of these files that are currently to the right of it get illuminated when I click. And what's cool is I don't even have to be on them. Just anything to the right of them when I click and drag get moved. And that, again, will allow me to kind of zoom into a specific part of an edit, make some changes, and then when I'm done, I can, close the gap back up and bring them back in. Below that, you'll find the razor tool. What's good with the razor tool is if you want to trim something out, right? Let's say, right here at the end of this shot, right there is where I want to trim it. I can use the razor tool and click on it, and then you'll notice that it is now its own little thing. I've razored it, cut it, sliced it. So now it's 2 clips instead of 1, and I can, delete one, move one, however I want to do it. But that is what the razor tool does. Below that, this is the slip tool. The slip tool is really cool because it allows you to move the footage and sound within the shot itself. So if I select my slip tool and I go over this shot here and click and hold, I can drag to the left and drag to the right. And what you're seeing here in my program monitor is kind of a preview of what's happening. The frame on the left is the start frame. The frame on the right is the end frame. So as I slide it left and right, I'm actually telling Premiere where I want that file to start. Below that is the pen tool. There's a lot of different ways to use the pen tool within Premiere Pro. The most common way is for keyframing, which is basically this idea of dropping little nodes on your footage or on your audio so you can kind of manipulate how they go. There are also keyframes involved with the footage if you're doing slow-mo or some sort of effect that requires a ramp or something like that. You can drop keyframes to kind of tell Premiere Pro where you want an effect to start and where you want it to end, or maybe you want something to increase in sound or decrease in sound. Dropping keyframes is kind of a really quick and easy way to be able to do that. If I wanted to taper off the audio, I can drop a keyframe there and like pull it down or push it up depending on what I want it to do within my edit. And again, you're not going to hurt Premiere Pro, you're not going to break anything by just clicking around and experimenting with this stuff and seeing what it does. Below that is T for type. You have your type tool, you'll click and drag on the screen. You'll notice a new kind of graphic layer adds itself to it, and you can put whatever you want. I'm looking for coffee. And there is our new graphics layer. And then again, we have the generative extend, and that's if I need to kind of use AI to add a few more frames to the end of something, give myself a few more moments with that shot to help transition into the next thing. All right, so that was just a quick breakdown of these tools. So now let's actually get to work on building our sequence. And just, for ease, I shot this in order. So starting at the top, working my way down through these shots to the end is the order that the shots can work in. Now I did overshoot. There's more than enough here. So maybe you don't want to use all of these shots. Maybe you only want to use a few of them within your edit. It's up to you, be creative, experiment, but now we're just going to kind of work through these shots and see what we have. I'm going to start here. I'm going to drop an I for in. I'm going to go to the cabinet. Right when I open the cabinet, I'm going to drop an out point. It is best when you're editing to cut on action, right? So the action in this shot is the actual cabinet being swung open. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. I'm going to drag and drop it into my sequence. I'm going to move on to the next shot, double click. And I already kind of played around with this one with my heads and tails, right? I'm going to drag it in and I'm going to see how we did. So I walk into the shot, open the cabinet, and that's a little late, but that's okay. This is a rough cut. We're just getting stuff on the timeline. I shut the cabinet. Going on to my next shot, I'm gonna watch it. Right, so this is kind of a close-up of the same action, Daddy's Pizza Restaurant, grab it, walk away. So I ended my last shot closing the cabinet, so I'm gonna start this one and kind of in that same spot. And I'm closing the cabinet. Hit my out point, drag and drop. So this is 3-point editing, right? I'm just going clip to clip, marking an in point, marking an out point, dropping it into the timeline. I'm not getting super precise on the exact transition from shot to shot. I'm not getting super precise on my sound yet. I'm not even getting super precise on like the duration of the shot. I'm just roughly saying this is kind of the shots and kind of the sequence really quickly, in point, out point, timeline. 3-point editing on repeat, just to get that practice in. I'm gonna go to the next shot. Ooh, we're getting into it now. Mocha pot. Let's see what we got. Walking, walking, hand coming in. Okay, let's see what we have here. I see the action of this shot. And what I'm doing now is called scrubbing. I'm grabbing this playhead, I'm clicking and holding and just kind of quickly going back and forth to see the shot and see what I want from it. So I know I want to start just before my hand enters. I'm going to mark I for my in point on this shot. I'm going to play it out. And I'm using spacebar to start and stop. And now I'm going to hit O to mark my out point. And I'm going to drag and drop. 3-point editing. I'm walking, walking, walking. Where am I heading with my coffee? Grabbing my mocha pot. What's next? And maybe here I start my in point. Maybe there's my out point. And there is sound, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my sound up. Okay, so let's just take a look here. We're kind of roughing out our sequence. We're kind of roughing out the scene that is me making this coffee. Go to the cabinet, open the cabinet. And I'm kind of taking note. I'm identifying, okay, we can trim some here, kind of tighten up the action so that it feels like a continuous energy. So it feels like from the first shot to the last shot, a ball of energy is being continually passed, right? We shouldn't see the stops. We shouldn't see the edits, but we're just roughing it out right now. So I'm going to keep it moving. Next one. And you'll notice here, there's a change up that happens in my frame rate, going from shooting in 24 to 120, just to kind of give a little bit of diversity to these shots, have a little bit more to experiment with and play with for our first edits. I shot a little bit of this in slow-mo. There you go, looks pretty good. Marking my out point. Retroactively marking my in point. And I'm going to put it in the timeline. And now for me, just quickly out of muscle memory, I felt like that was a long enough time for that shot, like the pacing wise. So I instinctively hit C, which is the shortcut for the razor tool, C for cut. And I went ahead and I trimmed off this last little bit. I'm gonna hit V, which is the shortcut to go back to my selector tool. I'm gonna click on it and delete it because I don't want it there. And now I'm going to look back at the beginning. And you can use plus and minus to like zoom in and out on the timeline like I just did. If you want to get a better sense of it, zoom out. If you want to, get close and kind of look closer at an edit, hit plus, and that'll kind of allow you to punch in and out of your editing as you go. I'm going to hit space bar to review. All right, now this is super clunky, and in our next class, we're gonna start getting into how we can actually fine tune this, how we can actually make this feel a little bit more like an edit. But just to give an example here, a little taste of what it is, here, we know I'm gonna close the cabinet. It's already closed, and here you see me closing it. So maybe there's a moment here where we can trim off a little of the heads from this shot and a little bit of the tails from this shot. I'm going to highlight both of them and I'm going to ripple delete. So everything cascades down. Now I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to bring my playhead back a little bit just to watch that edit. And see, that works a lot better, that makes a lot more sense, and that's more fine-tuning, right? So for your exercise or homework for the end of this class, I want you to experiment with three-point editing, okay? We had our footage from our camera, we took it off our camera and put it on our external, we took it from our external and we brought it into Premiere, we organized it into bins, we started scrubbing through every one of our shots so that we could fully ingest and understand all of the media that we're working with. And then we started the basics of three-point editing, marking our in point, marking our out point, and then dropping that footage in the timeline. So go ahead and experiment, use this footage, the link is in the description below, experiment with three-point editing. And again, I overshot. There's more than enough there to work with to build some sequences. So go ahead and explore that, and in our next class, we'll kind of start finishing out this rough cut.